Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video from Bird1. Today I got another interesting video. Vinny Shehu or Shehu answered something in the comments and I was like, hey man, I have noticed something disturbing, blah 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 blah. When his system was idle, he was consuming 72 to 75 watts, but when he was starting to mine ETH, it goes up to 380 or 390 watts. That's 150 or 160 watts per card, but Afterburner says that it's only 100 to 105 watts. So I was like, bruh, I wanted to make this video for a long time, but I kept forgetting it. So today we're gonna make it. So finally I came at the result that I had a power meter in my house and I already kind of knew what his problem was. So many of you guys may think like, hey, I'm only using 100 watts and it's very cheap expenses and I go to Coin Wars and fill in very cheap electricity. But in real time, you're using like 50% more than you calculated for. So I'm gonna explain how this goes. So first of all, you need something like a kilowatt machine. This is a profile, but the profile is for my country, it's for Europe, because we have a different type of thing in the wall than America and whatsoever, and the UK. But what it means is like this one measures what's coming directly out of your wall into your system. So I plugged in the miner into the system and we had a very nice result, but I had this already a long time ago. But I didn't know, you guys didn't know about the risers using power as well, and the power supply unit and the system. So I did some measurements. As you can see here, when my system was idle, I was only using 94 watts, let's say, or 95 watts, because it's still running the fans of the computer, it's still running the CPU a little bit, it's still running the GPU a little bit to run the screen, and it's also using the power supply unit, of course. So it's four things that are using electricity all the time. But many people think like, hey, I'm mining with 70 watts per card like I do over here. As you can see, it was only consuming about 72 watts per card when I was mining at about 163 hash rate in total. But I'm gonna tell you this, when it says 73 watts, that's totally not accurate, because if you multiply that by 6, you get about 400 watts. 450, let's say, to make it easy. Yes, I had to calculate it real quickly, but it was about 450 watts. But you guess like, hey, I can see 824 watts over there. So that means you need to calculate the 80 watts from the system, or let's say 90 watts. And also we need to include the power supply unit, but I'm not really sure how much that is. So I assume it's also included into the 90, but when you start running, you have some sort of efficiency in the power supply unit going. So let's say that's about 100 watts when it's totally using a lot of stuff. But still, we need to fill in the last 300 watts. So I'm gonna explain you where that one comes from. You all know the powered risers. They call it powered risers because of a reason. They need to power your GPU, because what happens if you would plug in all your 6 GPUs into the motherboard himself? It would divert it into a massive frying machine, because it needs to put like 600 watts through the motherboard into the GPUs. That would totally burn it out. So that means that we had to plug in the powered riser, so our system, our motherboard to be exactly, doesn't have to work that hard and burn out into French fries, let's say. So we need to add a little bit, like 50 watts per riser we put on the system while mining. So it turns out from 70 watts per card to about 120 watts. But it's also exactly the same for different types of GPUs. Let's say your GPU is using 250 watts like a GTX 970, and you also need to include the powered risers, unless you have a very expensive motherboard that can handle up to 7 GPUs into the motherboard itself. But now you guys may know why that motherboards are so expensive, because the H81 is only 78 euros over here, and if you want a 7 GPU motherboard, you're paying about $600 damn for it, because it has so many gold in it to run all the power through it that it has to be very expensive. So hopefully this was very useful, again, just like the video from yesterday, and hope you guys enjoyed it.